All right, so in this question, we need to figure out the correct way to show 117 degrees, and we have three choices: choice A, choice B, and choice C. So first off, to know the correct way to represent an angle, we have to understand that we have an x-axis and a y-axis. The x-axis is the horizontal, and the y-axis is the vertical. So when representing an angle, like for example 80 degrees, we always start at the positive side of the x-axis and we go counterclockwise. So 80 degrees would go counterclockwise, and this angle is 80 degrees. So if we're talking about 117 degrees, going backwards, choice C is wrong because this is going counterclockwise. That's this is clockwise and this is counterclockwise. So we don't want choice C. Choice B is incorrect because it's not starting at the positive side of the x-axis, it's starting at the negative side, and then it's going clockwise. So choice B is wrong. Choice A is right because it's starting at the positive side of the x-axis and then it's going counterclockwise, and therefore it is correct. So choice A would be your answer. Next, it's saying it's asking you to find the least positive coterminal angle and then also the greatest negative coterminal angle of 117 degrees. So least positive coterminal. If we're talking back to our example with 80 degrees, the least positive coterminal angle with 80 degrees would be one coterminal angle that goes one full rotation, and one full rotation is 360 degrees. So 80 plus 360 degrees would give you 440 degrees. So this is an example of a coterminal angle. And of course you can add another 360 degrees to 40 and you would get another coterminal angle with 80 degrees, and you can keep doing this an infinite number of times, but the question is asking for the least positive coterminal angle, so the answer is just 440. So similarly with 117, all we have to do is we just get the angle 117 and we add one full rotation, or 360 degrees. So 117 plus 360 gives us an angle of 477 degrees. So this would be our least positive coterminal angle. Now, greatest negative coterminal angle, it's basically the opposite. So if we're using our example of 80 degrees again, with this as our x-axis, this is our y-axis, here's the 80 degrees. We don't go counterclockwise one full rotation, we're going to go clockwise. So if you start at this 80 and you go clockwise, one full rotation, the angle you would get is 80, but because you went backwards, you're going to subtract 360 degrees, and 80 minus 360 gives you negative 280 degrees. So negative 280 degrees is an example of a negative coterminal angle. And just like with the last one, we could do one more, or two more, or three more, how many more times you want of a rotation. Just subtract 360 that many times and you would get a coterminal angle. But because the question is asking for the greatest negative coterminal angle, we just need to subtract 360 once. So with our problem of 117 degrees, you subtract 360 degrees. So 117 minus 360 gives you a difference of negative 243 degrees. So negative 243 degrees is your greatest negative coterminal angle. 477 degrees is your least positive coterminal angle. Now lastly, the question's asked when it is in standard position, it referring to the 117 degrees. The terminal side of A lies in quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4, or no quadrant. So what you have to understand is that when we're talking about graphs, the top right side of the graph, so let me use a different marker, use green. So this portion represents quadrant 1. The top left side of the graph, so I'll use blue. This part refers to quadrant 2. And then I'll use different color. The bottom left side, bottom left corner is quadrant 3. And the one remaining, this area, is quadrant 4. So quadrant 1 top right, quadrant 2 top left, quadrant 3 bottom left, and quadrant 4 is going to be the bottom right. So if you know that, then you can answer the last question. So when 117, if we're talking about 117 degrees, it would be in quadrant 2. So the answer would be quadrant 2. And that's how you solve it.